It's exciting because the energy transition, i.e. the movement of the fossil fuel-based economy that we have today to one that's based on low-carbon energy sources, will be a massive economic transformation that requires trillions and trillions of dollars of investment and financing, which is where the banks come in. Now, all of the major Western banks, North American, European banks, have made net zero commitments. They did that about 3 years ago. They've said essentially that our lending and financing will be aligned with the 1.5-degree target that we sort of globally have set in Paris, at the Paris Climate Accord. But actually, that's easy to say, hard to deliver on, because the reality is the world is way off track from 1.5 degrees, and many of the most profitable clients today are fossil fuel companies. There's been a real resurgence in the last few years of, big oil profits, and those are the kind of clients that you want to keep on your books. But you can't really keep them on your books if you want to commit to if you want to stay true to what you've committed around climate. So there's a real tension here, and this story is about that, basically.
Is that an unrealistic expectation from the get-go, though?
Well, I think a lot of banks were happy to kind of over-project what they could do at the beginning. There was this sort of idea that banks would be the climate saviors, that the private sector would lead here. And actually, it turns out that private sector appetite for leading is diminishing by the day because of some of the things I was mentioning just now about the resurgence of fossil fuels. So yes, it was perhaps naive and ill-advised to expect that the finance sector would lead this, but as I said at the beginning, the transition comes with a price tag of $5 to $10 trillion every year. Where's that money going to come from? Mostly from the private sector, from banks. So without the banks and without the investment managers, there will be no energy transition. So yeah, it's complicated.
Well, add one more kind of perspective into the story. You cited a UBS banker. What did he say?
Sure. So in the story, we cite this banker, Judson Berkey, who's essentially UBS's head of sustainable finance regulation. And he kind of let loose on regulators at a meeting in Tokyo. And he said, it's unrealistic that you request that we banks align our lending, our financing, our investing with a 1.5-degree world, because we don't live in a 1.5-degree world. We live in a world that's on course for 2.8 or maybe 3 degrees of warming, which, by the way, is catastrophic. And so how can you possibly expect us to align with that? The only way that you align with 1.5 is you divest today of most of your carbon-intensive clients. And that's clearly something that banks don't want to do, because those clients are very profitable and they have long-term relationships with them, and that doesn't get us anywhere towards net zero. So there's this real tension at the heart of banking today.